Let me brief through what is Agile30 and what do we do. We are aiming to be a part of the thriving community where Agile enthusiasts connect globally. We would like to boost skills with our tailored 4-track mentorship program, Agile process, technical, product development, and leadership. And of course, we have the top-notch mentorship program without breaking the bank. And beyond the certifications and training, let Agile30 be your partner in personal and professional growth. So do follow us. The links and everything is pasted on the chat box itself. Do follow us on our LinkedIn, Facebook, Meetup, and also our website is agile30.org.
As you people are already aware that Agile30 is one of our endeavor which we are running in Agilemania. It's not a new community, I would say. Somewhere around 2018-19, kind of we have casted that stone in India basically, right? And then we were running this community across multiple cities in India, and over the period of time we have spread the wings, right? Naveen has started Agile30, and then kind of we kicked in Malaysia, and I think Indonesia also we are running kind of, but moreover it's a thriving community, and almost every week you are going to learn something out of this community, either through webinar or through some in-person meetups which these young people are also trying to have in KL. Okay, so with that, let's get started with whatever we are having in our arsenal today, right? So it's not going to be 90 minutes long session. I am pretty much sure about that. Otherwise it's going to be very boring conversation. I have few slides, I will share that one, but apart from having a slideshow driven kind of conversation, it is going to be more of two-way conversation. We'll try to do that. And the topic of today's webinar is, which is very close to my heart, since product management is very close to my heart, right? So the topic is build better product using a very unique technique that we call as continuous product discovery. Okay. When we talk about product, in general, it's hard to build product. And reason is very simple, because you don't know what you are building. When you build product, most of the time, whatever feature capabilities, by the way, I will keep using these terms, feature capabilities, other thing interchangeably, so don't get confused. When I'm saying capabilities, it means something you are building for your end user. When I'm saying features, it also means same intent. So the idea is that when you build something, either you are going to build a product from scratch, or there is already an existing product and you are going to enhance that. And by doing that, you are going to build some capabilities, some features. Now question arises, on what basis you are going to build that? How you will know that whatever you are building, it's really going to catch the eyes of your users? Most of the time, like Marty Kagan is very renowned person in area of product management, and as per him, at least 70 to 80% things which you are going to build is bound to fail. So question arises, why it happens? Why it is not like that whatever we build, it's gonna click, it's gonna be a super duper hit? Why it don't happen? And reason is very simple. Reason is that whatever capabilities or features we are trying to build in a product, they are bits, simple bits, maybe some complicated bit as well, maybe some risky bit as well, but all those are bits. Unless you don't build something and you don't keep that particular thing into your hands of customer, you have no clue whether it's going to work or not. As simple as it is. I may have some very good envision about a particular feature, it's look very cool, it's look, something amazing, but it looks cool to me. What is guarantee it is going to look cool to my end user as well? And this is where there is a very famous saying in Lean. Basically, we say that all ideas are suspects until proven otherwise by the market. So all ideas are suspects until proven otherwise by the end user or by the market. Because based on my hypothesis or assumption, I'm going to build something. So how will I know that that thing which I have built is really going to click? And this is where, in order to minimize the potential risk and uncertainty, most of the organization over the period of time, they have started with agile way of working, right? That, how we are going to get feedback early, how we are going to build something quickly, go into the market quickly, expedite our learning by getting the feedback from the end user. We'll talk about that one in subsequent portion as well. But here context is moreover going to be around that if we know that, if we don't know, basically, if we don't know that whatever product we are building, it is going to click into the market, then question arises on what ground we are going to build, right? Circle back to same problem again. How we will know that whatever we are building, it's the right thing to build, okay? And this is where we are going to, so far, I have kind of, laid the foundation of this particular talk, that why this talk. And let me very quickly share my screen and let's get this started from there. So as I said, the topic is build better product using continuous discovery. And my name is Atulya. I'm based out of Pune, India. I'm partner consultant with Agilemania, and where I take care of, their product and enterprise capability related things. Some shameless self-promotion kind of thing. So these are some, marketing material. So, right. So in Agilemania, since Agilemania, we are into coaching and consulting kind of thing. So we do lots of coaching and certification related activities. So there is lots of offering we provide. So pick and choose and then come back to, Agilemania if you think to learn something more. Okay. So 3 things we are going to focus into next close to 60 minutes or so, and rest of the time we are going to focus on more on Q&A and all. First thing is why product discovery. Second thing is what is product discovery, and then third one and last one is how we can do the product discovery. So why product discovery? I think we have pretty much covered that one by kind of discussing the problem associated with the crux of product management. And the crux of that problem is that how you will know that whatever you are building, it is the right thing to build. Just because, I'm expert into certain area, doesn't make sense that whatever I'm thinking, it's the right thing to build. Basically, there is a, thing that normally we call is as a curse of knowledge. And curse of knowledge is most of the product management people kind of, suffer with this problem. Curse of knowledge means as we develop expertise in certain area, in product contents, as product management people, when we develop expertise in expert knowledge about our product over the period of time, we tend to forget what it was like before. And then what happens? Then we keep on taking that bets based on our expert opinion. Why? Because now we think that, we are expert. We knows more than anyone else about our product. That is the reason. This is where your bias kicks in about curse of knowledge, right? Now you think that, you know more than anyone else. And this is also happens, in any transformation activity, right? Agile, it is not only, about product management, but curse of knowledge is in general, it's a psychological phenomena and very much applicable to anything which you are doing. Normally happens in, in your agile way of working as well. When certain coaches or scrum master thinks that they know agile way more than anyone else, and then they are very much going to be, on process, frameworks, methods, nothing beyond that, right? So that is called curse of knowledge. And this becomes a very significant problem when we, make, decision making about our product discoveries, right? That if I'm expertise into certain area, right, then we start making those decisions from our expert point of view rather than including the viewpoint of our customer, right? And what we end up making decision about that expert opinion which we carry, it is not necessarily that is going to work for our customers as well, right? So question arises how we kick out that bias of bias about curse of knowledge. So that is basically one of the another problem as well about out of so many other problem about the product discovery, this is also one of the major problem about building our own biasness. So when we say, by the way, when most of the time I keep a disclaimer handy, and reason is very simple, because people try to apply whatever they listen or whatever they see. Because someone has said something, someone has written a book, someone has spoken in a webinar, someone has published a blog post, it means that is the ultimate truth, that is the ultimate nirvana state, and we can apply it anywhere in whatever flavor and shape and size. That is not the correct approach, right? So the disclaimer is this one: context matters. If content is king, then context is queen, right? So always look at the context you are in, right? And why I say always look at the context you are in, reason is very simple. Let's say, because products are different, people are different, organizations are different. The way you are using, let's say, Amazon may not be the case the same way you are using WhatsApp, may not be the case same way you are using Facebook, may not be the case same way you are using some low frequency product. How many times you use Amazon.com or Amazon.my in your case, versus how many times and what is the frequency of users of WhatsApp? Altogether different context, right? So products are different, organizations are different. The way one organization is doing something may not be the case another organization is going to practice that one in same way. So whatever we are going to discuss over here, try to understand. Again, I'm not saying that is the best practice we are supposed to do, but definitely it is going to be a good practice. Looking at your context, looking at the product you are having in, then try to apply that, how you can apply these good practices in order to get something meaningful out of your product discovery process. As I said, that most of the product you are going to build, most of the features you are going to build in that product, it's just built, right? You have no clue, honestly. If any of the product manager in this entire universe is going to say that, I know that this is exactly how my product is going to be used. I know that this is how my market is going to respond. They are liars. Maybe liar is a hard word, but they have no idea. And reason is very simple. And that is primarily problem with the digital product, right? Because digital product somehow has a disadvantage over the physical product. And why I'm saying that? Let's say you are manufacturing this mouse. Okay. So advantage with physical product is that you can touch it, feel it, sense it. That is another layer of feedback. But with digital product, you can't touch, you can't feel, you can't sense, right? So the way I'm gonna sense it based on my some perceived notion of research, or let's say perceived notion of usage pattern, may not be the case how Renuka is going to do, or may not be the case how Aryan is going to do. It's completely different, right? So question arises when we are going to build some digital product. Again, question arises how we can speed up our learning, how we can learn quickly from the market, from the customer, from the users, so that based on that learning, basically learning is nothing but the feedback coming in different shape and size. So idea is that how we can quickly learn from that feedback, come back, rinse and repeat. And if you look the entire ecosystem of agile way of working, that is nothing but rapid experimentation. But somehow some people say that agile is not working. And reason is very simple, because if you are going to run into wrong direction, double of speed, it doesn't make any sense, because you are running altogether in wrong direction. So agility only doesn't mean that you are very fast. Agility also means that you are running into right direction. If I have to run in, let's say, east, right, with 5 miles per hour of speed, and I'm altogether running in west with 10 miles per hour, my speed is double of what I have expected, but I'm altogether running in wrong direction. So how I'm gonna understand that what is the right direction? So that is the what I have kind of discussed in the very beginning, that how we will know that what we are gonna build, it's the right thing to build. And sometimes looking at some of the products, I really worry that why they exist. What if they don't exist? What kind of problem, or what kind of impact they have created on end user? So sometimes it looks like that if some of the product never existed, the world would never gonna miss them, because they are so useless product, right? And it's very hard, it's very hard, I would say, realization and feeling for product management people, that when they build that something and then market has rejected, or they said that, okay, thank you very much, but we have another workaround available, we are not going to use that. And if you look at the entire product management ecosystem, most of the organization, they die of again, another saying that most of the organization, they die of overeating rather than the starvation. You keep on building a product over the period of time, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you didn't get the PMF. Basically we call it product market fit, right? You didn't find your PMF, and then one day you decided to shut down your door. Reason is that no one is using and no one is loving the product. So question arises, if you look at ecosystem, startup ecosystem, right? In startup ecosystem, that is very prevalent, right? 70, 80, 90% up to the startups, they shut down their doors within 2 years, 3 years. And why they do that one? Because somewhere down the journey of their building their product, they didn't find their PMF, product market fit. And since they didn't find their PMF, what happens? Neither they find the customer desirability aspect, neither that particular product, didn't hit the customers, right? Customer is not going to miss them, whether it's existed or doesn't existed. Either that particular product is not going to suit the need of business, means business viability. In general, technical visibility is somewhere we get that one, but either on 2 parameters, either customer desirability aspect or business viability aspect, we miss something, and then we say that we keep on using the VC's funding, right? 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. We keep on building the solution out of nowhere. We don't know what we are building, honestly, right? We don't go to our customer to talk to them what is their problem. Again, curse of knowledge, because we understand the domain. We are coming from a top tier 1 management college, so we understand that we know everything, right? With that assumption, we keep on building something, and then one fine day we decide that we have hired too many people, let's start firing that one in order to stabilize the organization, and then game over. Some of the example of product, if they never existed, no one is going to miss them. Why the hell someone is going to, they have envisioned such kind of product? This one, middle one, now you can understand that this product, what is that? This job can pretty well done with a spectacle, eyeglass, right? If you have your own hand, why the hell someone is gonna use some artificial hand just as a kind of mimicking something that you are holding a man? This is amazing product. What is that? Someone dining in 5-star hotel, they came up with the idea that I have used money, I like music, and so let's build a manufacturer build something out of which I can dispense the salt as well, and I can listen to the music. And so basically that is nothing but a salt dispenser from which you can listen to music as well. Why the hell someone need to spend so much money on a salt dispenser? Okay, so this is some of the example. Again, if you go and if you look at the entire product ecosystem, entire product ecosystem is filled with so many weird example of product which was not required. So again, lean thinking, right? Life is too short to build something nobody wants or know. So question arises, how we are gonna understand that? By the way, we have did we run a LinkedIn survey, and out of that survey we have identified that what is the number one reason product fails into the market. Again, it is not a cooked up data. It is outcome of a particular survey, and most of the things people come up with this, that we focus less on users need. Why? Because we are expert. We as a product management people don't need to talk to end user. Let's confine ourselves in our cubicle. Let's confine ourselves in our cabin and start writing user story and feature which we think it's cool. And that is the perfect recipe for a disastrous product. So let's not do that. Very simple. Okay. Now, question arises, how we can address that problem, that we are not going to build something. Again, there is a lean thinking, and lean thinking, what this is, lean thinking says that by the way, there are so many sometimes what happens in product management community, they somehow discard, or they somehow very much anti to agile values and principles, or agile in entirety. And reason they give is that agile don't talks about that what is the value, or agile don't tells that how we are going to identify that what is good thing to build. And I think it's a good reminder for these people to understand that agile talks about that. If you look at manifesto, what agile talks about that? Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. In very nutshell, it is saying that don't build anything which is not required by end user. Why to build something? Right? Simplicity, art of maximizing the amount of work not done, means out of all the bits you are having, try to identify that which bit is not going to make sense. Don't build that. Simple. But question arises, how we will know that which bit is good to build? And this is where we are going to talk about product discovery. So when we say product discovery, normally we say that normally there is a concept that we call as dual track agility. Dual track agility. And in dual track agility, what is the concept of dual track agility? Dual track agility concept says that there are two tracks going on parallelly. Again, it is not a waterfall way kind of thing that do the product discovery and then deliver. Absolute waterfall, right? Idea of dual track agility is that there are two tracks parallelly going on. One is called product discovery track, and another one is called as product delivery track. So product discovery track is where you have, it is going to help you to understand that what to build, which is good thing to build, right? And then product delivery track, that is going to kind of support that earlier track, which is product discovery. This is where we are going to decide that okay, how to build it. So basically product discovery track is where you are continuously doing whatever required, and this particular track is going to feed forward where you are going to run your different sprint or iteration based on the previous track. Okay. So in layman term, product discovery basically means deciding what to build that is going to create value to your end user. Okay. Now, when we are saying that what to build that is going to create value to your end user, is basically, it means that during the journey of your product discovery, you are involving your customer. You are not doing that one in isolation. Very first requisite. Because if I'm going to build something valuable to, let's say, Jasmine, or to, let's say, Michelle, then they should understand that what is value to me. It should not be based on my hypothesis that Atulya thinks that this is a value to Michelle or this is the value to Nathan, right? My customer should know, right? That how I'm going to ease their life, how I'm going to address their pain point. So that is the reason. The primary essence of product discovery is what? Talk to your customer. And this is where most of the product management people, they do a terrible mistake. They don't talk. Either they talk and then that talk is again biased with their own, that judgment is again, very much clouded by their own expertise and hypothesis. So product discovery, if we say that product discovery is used to describe the work we do to make, decision about what to build, and product delivery is the work we do to build, to ship, to test, to maintain something that is coming out of product discovery, right? And as I said that whenever we are saying product discovery, it means it includes the customer throughout your decision making process. Because why we are building product? Because we are going to ease the life of our customer. So my customer should be my helping hand, right? So far so good? Cool. Okay. So another question arises: how much product discovery? Okay. Is it like that we are going to do the discovery for 6 months and then we are going to build that one in next 6 months? Were we kind of doing this kind of work in past, where we do some upfront product discovery for considerable amount of time, and based on that outcome then we decide that okay, now let's start building the product, and then next 1 year we keep on building the product, right? Traditional project based thinking, we do like that, right? That where we think that now try to understand the difference. I'm not saying product discovery, I'm saying continuous product discovery. So product discovery is not one time activity, that I did the product discovery when we have started the project. In project based thinking, this is what we do. We do the product discovery in the beginning of project by talking to our customer, by doing some interview, blah blah stuff, build our PRD, and based on that then we blindly start building our product, right? It may work, right, when kind of digitization was not that kind of like 90s kind of thing, right? You have hardly few choices in terms of making, in terms of doing some product decision making. But currently you are operating in VUCA world, right? Everything is, you are operating in a digital era, right? And when we look at the VUCA world, what we find out, every now and then change is coming. Change is the only constant, right? And looking at the nature of digital product are never ending product. Today you are building some feature, tomorrow you are going to do some enhancement, day after tomorrow you are going to take some decision making based on the technical thing, day after tomorrow you are going to take some decision based on what your competitors has built, so on and so forth, right? So if lots of things coming in your way from left, right, center, then rapid experimentation is the only way you are going to pave the success towards building a great product, right? So if rapid experimentation should be there, so does it mean that we are supposed to do the product discovery only once? So your product discovery also need to be continuous, right? So if we are continuously making decision about what to build, right, then we need to stay continuously connected to our customer. As simple as it is. Okay. And this is, so reiterating my own thing, what I have just spoken about, that when we say product discovery, it is not a one-time activity that do it once and then start building. No. So as part of your, when we say dual track agility, I'm assuming that most of you are operating in agile way of working. So idea is that there are two tracks going on. One is discovery track, another one is delivery track, right? So your discovery track is going to feed towards your delivery track, so that your team keeps on building that one every iteration or every sprint. So while your team is churning out the code, doing the build deployment process, testing every iteration, what you as a product management people are doing, in let's say you did product discovery, you feed it forward to your delivery team, right? Your delivery team or your product team, whatever you want to call it, squad or scrum team, agile team, they are working on that particular features to build something every 2 week, every 3 week, whatever the cadence you people are having. So while 2 week or 3 week, these programmers and coders and technical people are doing that one, what you as a product management team are doing, you're not sitting idle, and that work you are doing, that is nothing but your continuous product discovery, so that whatever you are doing out of that 2 week or 3 week, that is going to feed them forward. And when you are doing that continuous product discovery, right, you should not do that one in isolation. That is the crux. You should talk to your customer. So there is a very good book called Continuous Product Discovery, written by Teresa. And in that book, she calls out that, continuous product discovery means that at least there is a weekly touch points with your customer. Means as a product team, you are talking to your customer at least every week as part of your product discovery, right? To understand that what kind of pain problems they are having, what needs to be built, so on and so forth. Now coming back to original problem, that how much time should we spend in discovery? Okay, again, context. Okay, so there is no, again, silver bullet answer for that particular thing. If we talk about how much time we are supposed to give to product discovery, okay, so first thing is we have to come out of this mindset where we have built this hypothesis that discovery is one-time activity. So first thing, we have to come out of this hypothesis that discovery is not one-time activity, rather than it is a continuous activity. Second thing, again, when I'm saying dual track agility, I'm saying 2 tracks going parallel. It's not like that once one track is finished, then we are going to start that one. So that is going to be very, typical agile way, waterfall way of doing the things, where we were saying that, requirement analysis, design means one step is finished, then we are going to move the next step. So when we say how much time, first thing is it's not one-time activity. Second thing, it is not like discovery is finished, then delivery is gonna happen. Rather than things are pretty much going in parallel, and it is a continuous activity. Okay. Second thing is means it is not a linear relation, right? Rather than it's a kind of going hand in hand, right? Idea of product discovery is what? To mitigate some risk, to expedite your learning by getting into the market early, taking the feedback, and then build your next hypothesis based on that learning, right? That is the intent of product discovery. So let's say, by the way, when we say agile, again, we have to understand agile is not a silver bullet, right? Just because you are practicing agile doesn't mean that you are not gonna be, fail. Idea of agile is fail often, fail fast, right? So that you can learn. The only thing is that this short time scales, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week of time scale, which you have chosen as a cadence for your delivery, that is going to minimize the risk. How? Let's say typical waterfall way. How we were doing waterfall? We were doing with requirement analysis, right? Requirement gathering. Then we go with design, and then coding, testing, then UAT, so on and so forth. Okay. Let's say whatever requirement you have gathered, you keep on building that one, and after 8 months or 6 months, you have delivered that one. Once UAT is done, you have delivered a product or solution, whatever you want to call it. You took, let's say, 6 months or 8 months. Okay. And if it fails, then a risky game. Why risky game? Because whatever resources. When I'm saying resources, it means, you know, uh, people not with feeling and emotion. It means money and all those things. So 8 months time corresponding to 8 months expenditure, human potential, all things are gone. Everything is gone. Okay. Now, when we are saying agile way of working, means now every 2 week, 3 week, or 4 week, you are going to do all these activities in one iteration or one sprint. You are going to do the identify the requirement, you are going to build that one, you are going to test that one, deliver that one. So even if you fail, let's say, let's say you spend 2 weeks building something, some feature A, okay, or X, whatsoever the case is, right? And then once you have delivered that one, then you have identified, as a product management person, you have identified that instead of building A, we should have built Y feature. Okay. So here some people may say that, it means that whatever time and money and energy you have invested in order to build X, that was wasted, right? But I will look it at differently. What I will say, or Agilist, what they believe, that if you had to build feature A or feature X in order to learn that instead of building X, we are supposed to build Y, it means what? It means it is a learning form. It is a feedback. So even if we fail to build something, our failure is associated with only 2 week, 3 week, 4 week of work rather than 6 months, 8 months of work, right? So the threshold or the impact of failure is going to be confined only to 2 week, 3 week, 4 week rather than 6 months, 8 months, right? So that we normally, I call it kind of, unacceptable risk, right? That whatever we are doing as part of our product discovery, we are trying to mitigate unacceptable risk. Unacceptable risk means, let's keep on building X for 6 months, and then after 6 months you have identified that it is not working. Then 6 months potential gone for toss. Here, with this rapid experimentation, we are trying to capture the essence very early. Okay. Again, when we say discovery is all about feedback, means learning. Discovery is not about how many line of code you can write in 2 weeks. That is not outcome, right? It may be an output that I have written 5,000 line of code in 2 weeks versus someone else has written, let's say, 1K line of code in 2 weeks. Who is doing good? With traditional mindset, this person is doing good. Why? He has written 5K line of code. Atulya has written only 1K line of code. Means Atulya is lazy. He's not doing good. No, right? Possibility could be this person who has written 5K line of code, he has gone to Stack Overflow and Google, and he has copy pasted entire line of code, and whatever code I have written, it is quality code. So that is not a guarantee. Okay. So crux is that timelining, it's very context sensitive. Okay. How much you decide. Okay. But the idea is that at least neither too much, not too little. So neither too much, not too little, and also you are not going to do the product discovery in one short way. Means once it is done, it's done. We are not going to do the product discovery. That should not be the way we are supposed to do the product discovery. So question arises, what are the different ways out there using which we can do the product discovery? Very quickly about that. There are so many methods, mechanism, and practices available, right? Customer mapping, customer interview, story mapping, customer journey mapping, let's say empathy maps, follow the customers, design thinking, opportunity solution tree. Again, which one is good, which one is not good, no one can say. Idea is that try to have multiple tools in your toolbox, and depending on the situation and context is in hand, take one tool, apply that one. But idea is that you are going to do the product discovery in continuous manner. So one of the very famous thing is called design thinking. Okay, let's talk about design thinking, and if time permits, then very quickly about OST as well. So when we say design thinking, What is design thinking? Anyone in having any idea what is design thinking? No? Okay. Take care. So I'm gonna give you. Acha, by the way, when we say design thinking basically means that how we are going to empathize with our customer to understand what kind of problem they are having. Means identify the problems and then corresponding to that problem come up with solution. Means empathize with your customer, understand their problem, explore the opportunity, then define the opportunity, and then once opportunity is defined, means problem statement is defined, then again explore different options to build solution. So that is called design thinking. And when we talk about design thinking, normally we said that design thinking is a double diamond approach. So first diamond is problem space, and then second diamond is again called solution space. Now question arises, what is empathy? Now I keep on saying that design thinking means empathize with customer, empathize with user, try to identify their problem. So it is a human-centered approach, right? That you are going to empathize with the customer to understand it. So what is empathy? Empathy means what? Empathy means sympathy? Are they a different thing? Same thing or different thing?
Yeah, empathy means just relating and just having the same feeling the way customer is feeling, and just knowing the sentiments and the end user perspective.
Getting into the shoes of other person, that what their feelings are, that is called sympathy. Empathy. Okay. I'm giving you a very good example of what is empathy. So in India, this is called darling of terrain. A SUV which was, I think, launched in 1994 somewhere around, right, by Tata. It was called, and they named it Tata Sumo, and it was so popular. Basically, it was meant for considering the Indian roads at that time. It was primarily used by armies. Okay, and then people kind of they gone crazy for that one, and in less than 2 years, Tata sold more than 100K of this particular SUV, in 1994. And after 25 years, they discontinued that one in 2019. 25 years of grand success of this SUV. They named it Tata Sumo. So from where that name came in? When we say Tata Sumo, the primary impression is that sumo means that name was taken from Japanese wrestler. Okay, that's not a correct thing. So how that name came into existence? So that name came into existence. This is the epitome of empathy, I would say, right? So this gentleman is called as Sumit Mulgaonkar. Sumit Mulgaonkar. By the way, I'm based out of Pune, India, right? And Tata has biggest, car manufacturing plant here in Pune, right? Where I reside, 12 kilometers from my place, right? And this particular gentleman, he was head of that particular, he was, MD of Tata Motors at that time. So what used to happen in their, manufacturing plant during the lunch time, when executives are supposed to take the lunch, their MD is always missing. This person don't take the lunch with their executive teams. As soon as lunch hour start, this person takes out his car and he go outside the plant, right? And this particular thing has created kind of some controversy among the executive team members, saying that some of the Tata dealers people, they are throwing some good lunch time for Sumit in a 5-star hotel. That is the reason he is not available in the plant during the lunchtime with the executive. A suspicious activity kind of thing. So one day certain people decided to follow where Sumit used to go every day during the lunchtime. And to their utter surprise, they have identified that Sumit used to drive to nearest dhabas. Dhaba is a very typical place in India on highways where highways basically means where trucks and all those things, heavy vehicles goes on. So normally the truck drivers, their pit stop is dhabas, where they stop their trucks and then they take their lunch. So you can understand the MD of a particular giant manufacturing organization. He take his car, he goes to dhaba, he sit at dhaba, he order his food, and then he start talking to the truck drivers at that dhaba to understand, because Tata was also pretty much a market player in truck manufacturing. So he tried to understand with those drivers, he tried to unearth that what kind of problem these people are having with Tata trucks. If some other drivers are driving some another truck of another manufacturer, that he tried to understand that what is so good in that truck which is not there in Tata's truck, and then he note down that one. So that is called customer empathy. Epic empathy, getting into the shoes of your customer to understand what kind of problem they are having. Now if you think that these truck drivers are going to come to my and talk to my R&D team, that is never going to happen. So you have to identify that how you are going to screen your potential users, where you can identify them, where you can meet them. In fond memory of Sumit Mulgaonkar, Tata named this particular vehicle as Tata Sumo, first two digit of Sumit Mulgaonkar's name. So context is, empathy means get into the shoes of your end user. Now by sitting in your AC cabin, that is not going to happen. You have to go to meet to your end users. You have to go and talk to your end users to understand that, okay, this is the problem you are having, how we can address your problem. Based on that, then you come back as part of your product discovery and decide what we are supposed to build next. And let me explain you what is. Okay, so I was saying design thinking. So design thinking, as I said, it's a double diamond approach, and every diamond is associated with divergent and convergent thinking. Right? So first diamond, we call it as a problem space, right? Because crux is to understand the problem first rather than jumping on the solution. First, let's understand that what kind of problem they are having. Once we are going to identify the right problem statement, then it will be easy for us to build a solution that is going to address the problem. So problem space is first area, first diamond, and then we are going to apply divergent and convergent thinking. Once problem statement is identified and defined, then again we are going to explore next diamond, that is called solution space, which is again associated with divergent and convergent thinking. Okay, so very quickly we are gonna understand that. So when you are going to apply design thinking, first thing what you have to do, it should not be that randomly you go and start talking to your customer that this is what I think. No, idea is that before you go to your customer, do your homework. And when we say do your homework, basically generative research, and which we call as market research. Market research means try to understand that what are the competitors out there, what kind of business they are operating it, or what is the segmentation, what is kind of typical problem in that kind of area they are having, or users are having, business is having, right? Try to identify. That is normally we in layman term I call it homework. As a product management people, that is your homework. Based on that homework, now you have you have kind of built some hypotheses that these are kind of problem. Okay, now you have to validate that whether the assumption you have made out of that market research, it is correct or not. And this is where you go and talk to your customer. So that is what we call as, based on the outcome of that market research, now you have applied different tools and techniques like Gemba walks. Gemba walk is one of the technique. Like in previous example of Tata Sumo, what he did, go and see that how your product is getting used. So if he will sit into his AC cabin and just visualize that some truck driver is driving my truck, He never going to identify the kind of problem. So he actually visited that place where people are actually having that, where people can actually feed him forward with the kind of experience they are having with that usage of that product. So that is called Gemba. Now different organizations, they use different techniques in order to do the Gemba. But crux is go and see. Like there is a company called Intuit. So Intuit has a very typical way of Intuit, they basically deals with there is a product that is called TurboTax, very much famous in US for the tax file purpose. So in order to build TurboTax, Intuit has a very different way of engaging with the customer, and they call it follow the customer. Follow the customer, a typical kind of Gemba. So what they do as follow the customer, basically they kind of identify screening. So screening means what? Try to identify that which customer you are going to talk. So that normally we call it recruit, that to which customer. Basically there are 5 steps in user research: recruit, screen, schedule, interview, and analyze. So first you have to identify that whom you are going to talk. Let's say you have identified that I'm going to talk to 20 end users. So out of that, can you talk to all to the 20 users? No. Then you are going to pick the right ones which to whom you have to speak. That we normally call it screen. So recruit, screen. Then schedule. Schedule means find the time. So as part of follow the customer, they do the same thing. They try to identify which particular user we are going to target, and then they literally ask their time that, okay, no, Bob, can you please give us your 30 minutes or 40 minutes? We want to have some interview with you about the uses of our product. So Bob and these product management people from TurboTax, they are going to agree on a particular schedule, right? Then these product management people, they literally go to that place, either let's say office or home, whatsoever the case is. And then what they do, they apply another pattern that is called observability pattern. So what happens, let's say Atulya is end user and Michelle is the product manager. So Michelle is going to come to my home, and while Atulya is going to use TurboTax as a product, in order to file the tax, these people are going to sit besides me, and they will only observe that how I'm using their product to file the taxes. And they keep on taking the notes that Atulya clicked here, rather than clicking on this button, he has clicked on next button. Then Atulya has clicked on back browser button, kind of thing, right? Atulya is zooming in something in order to read something. They keep on writing that one. And once the customer has completed the entire customer journey, then these people are going to start the interview, saying that Atulya, you have clicked on that particular button rather than this button, why so? So Atulya is saying that I was confused that which button is going to take me to which place. A certain text written was not very readable, that is the reason I have zoomed in. I was very much confused with certain, let's say infographic, or let's say certain icons, that is the reason I was very confused, so I have clicked the back browser. So that is going to help them to understand that what kind of problem customer is having. So recruit, screen, schedule, interview, and then identify that what you are supposed to do next in order to make your product better. So once you have identified, so multiple end user may have multiple problems because all the end users are not same. So let's say Amazon, the way I use Amazon may not be the case how Renuka is using, or may not be the case how Daniel is using, though we are all of us are end user, right? But I am pretty much interested into purchasing a book, while Renuka is very much interested in purchasing dresses. Daniel is very much let's say instrumental in purchasing only, let's say, iPhones or costly gadgets. So our pains are very different, our needs are very different, right? So when we are going to explore the possibility, so different end user has different problem. Now you have identified 200 problems. So we are going to apply the divergent thinking, which we call that out of that 100 problems or 50 problems, now we are going to condense the problem, means define the problem statement correctly. So first we have diverge to identify that what kind of problem, who is having that problem, what is the nature of problem. Once lots of problems are unearthed, then you are going to kind of define that one, means capture the right problem statement by refining the problems. Once problems is refined, it means you have captured a particular problem or couple of problems which needs to be built. Then again you are going to get into next part, that is called divergent thinking, and this is where your technical team is going to apply different technical practices: prototyping, story mapping, low fidelity, or let's say sometimes even without writing single line of code, you are going to come up with low fidelity prototype, just a high level low fidelity flow of the work, and then you are going to take it to your customer or the stakeholder to take their feedback that how it looks like. If it looks good, come back, start coding. Okay, so that is design thinking. Another approach which is very much prominent is called as opportunity. So as I said, understand the problem space. In the beginning I was telling you this, that why most of the product fails. Most of the product fails because they are not able to identify sustainability on their product side. Why? Because whatever product they are building, either that product is not desirable from customer point of view, means I'm building some product which I think I'm building some feature, but it is not going to help my customer anyway. Customer is not using that one. So is it really desirable by your customer? No. I'm building a product, but by building that product, I'm not gonna provide any value to business. Means viability from business point of view. I'm gonna build a product and I have kind of, let's say, incurred $100, and when I went into the market to sell it, I'm selling it in $10. Is it going to be a viable option for business? No. And then feasibility from technology point of view, whether it's really technically feasible to build that product or not. So unless these three dimensions of product is not met, three parameters of building that product is not met, neither your product is going to be scalable, not sustainable. And most of the time, this is where most of the organization has. I keep on building a solution, then I have identified that it is not desirable by customer. So let's shut it down. I keep on building a product, and in order to build a product, I keep on churning out VC's money, I keep on burning out VC's money, right? And after 2 years, I found out that cost is way too high to build something rather than there is any profitability out of that. So that is not business viability. So again, it doesn't make sense to keep on building that one or scaling that one. So this is called three dimensions in order to build, sustain and scale a product over the period of time. Desirability from customer point of view, feasibility from technology point of view, and viability from business point of view. There is another technique. I don't know whether it's readable or not, but very quickly I will. So this is called another technique, that is called as opportunity solution tree. In short, we call it OST, opportunity solution tree. So opportunity solution tree basically means what? Whatever we are gonna build is built. So project mindset basically tells that keep on building something and deliver that one in particular cost or particular time and cost, right? Opportunity solution tree basically tells us that by building something, what impact we are trying to make. So first try to identify that what that impact we are trying to create. We need to be very clear about that one, because that is the business because that is going to support the business viability, right? So what impact I'm gonna create to my business in turn to my product that should be clear to us. So that particular thing is called impact. And in order to create that impact, now we are going to do the product discovery to identify that in order to create this impact, what are the different bets, as I was telling you in the beginning, that what are the different bets means what are the capabilities I would not say capabilities, but bets in general, that at very high level, in order to create that impact, what are the different opportunities we can see. So opportunity 1, opportunity 2, opportunity 3, so on and so forth. If this opportunity is big, then probably we are going to split that one again into smaller opportunities as well. And then in order to build these opportunities, what are the different options available that we call as solution. So first thing, what impact needs to be clear, what impact we are trying to create, and in order to create that impact, what are the different options available, means what are the different opportunities we as a product management people see. Then as part of our continuous discovery, we are going to identify with the help of our engineering team that in order to materialize that opportunity, what are the different, so basically we call it what is that relationship, you may have parent, basically if I say, then you may have kids, and these kids may have siblings as well. So let's say in order to realize this opportunity, there lies different solutions. It means these solutions are siblings to this opportunity. So that is the nomenclature basically we are having. So in this typical example, if I can say it again, this example is coming from that book which I have told you, Continuous Product Discovery Habit. So idea is that we want to increase the viewing time on Netflix. So that is the impact business is trying to achieve. Okay, so that is very clear that business is saying that currently whatever the view times we are having on Netflix, we want to increase that one, and by doing so we are going to do something. So that impact is very clear. So in order to achieve this impact, what are the different opportunities we can see? So they say that users want, now this is the opportunity we want to this is the impact we want to achieve. How? So they said that there are different opportunities. If we can tap in, then we will be able to meet that outcome. So what are the different opportunities we are supposed to? So they said that can we watch, users can watch, currently we are only showing, let's say, dramas and movies and all those things. So if we can somehow start visualizing or start telecasting, let's say, sports as well. So some sports enthusiasts going to look at our they are going to look at the that particular sports, so view time will be high. So they said that that is one opportunity. Similarly, they said that currently Netflix only providing that when you are on cellular data, or let's say when you have good Wi-Fi bandwidth available, then only you can see. So they said that what if we can provide some capabilities to the people who are on the go, means they are traveling by car, they are traveling by train, even if they are traveling by, let's say, airways, can we provide some capability to these people so that when Atulya is traveling to KL from India, let's say 4 hours or 5 hours air travel, can we tap in these kind of people to invest their 4 hours or 3 hours throughout the journey to look at Netflix? It is again going to contribute directly to this impact, this outcome, right? Another one is that now another problem, can we say that all those people who are traveling are of same kind? Let's say people who are traveling with the car, they may have access to cellular data, but people like us who are traveling through flights, then cellular data is not available. So it means in this same user group of travelers, we have two different distinct problems. One problem where cellular data is available. another problem where cellular data is not available. So that becomes two opportunity for us basically. For a person who is traveling to car or train, or another person who is traveling to, let's say, by airways. Now corresponding to this opportunities, what are the different options available? So now you have started exploring other options, right? And then further solutions to that particular option. So that is called opportunity solution tree. Is it the final one? No. Based on your discussion with your team may say that this should not remain here, it should go over here because this particular solution seems more similar compared to this particular opportunity, right? So all these are gonna happen as part of your product discovery. Intent is, so this is called opportunity solution tree. There is another tool which you can apply during the interview that we call as empathy maps. I'm going to stop it over here. And idea of empathy map is what? To understand the multisensory perception. Again, a tool to empathize with your customer even during when you are applying the design thinking. So that we call it as a empathy maps. Empathy maps basically means how we are going to capture the multisensory perception. And when we say multisensory perception, it means it is not only about what Atulya as a customer is saying. It is also about that when Atulya is talking about a particular problem, what is going in his mind, what he is feeling, what he is looking into the marketplace, what his colleagues, his teammates, people into his proximity are saying to him. So it is about what I'm saying, what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing. So that is called multisensory perception of a problem statement. I'm gonna stop it here. It will be maybe too much. So let's open the floor. If there is any question, we can quickly discuss. Webinars are any kind of trainings or certification per se, right? They are not designed to make you an expert, honestly, right? Because in 1 hour, how I can train you or make you, expert in product discovery. So the idea of this session is to help you to understand that what the topic are, what is the crux of the topic, and then provide you with some, tools, techniques, and tactics so that you can take that one in some structured way, go back, explore, and learn.
We do have next week. We also have more webinars every week, so feel free to follow us.
Yes, so webinar is definitely going to be every week, but I think in person also you're planning something, right? In KL.
And always refer back to the Agile30 website. So we will have a different kind of events ongoing. So feel free to subscribe so that you don't miss the dated news.
Okay, cool. So since these people have already kicked in, Agile30 in KL, very soon maybe we are gonna, start doing that, spreading in India as well. So probably in Feb also, we are planning to have some in-person meetup in Pune.
Also, one quick thing, Atulya, on session, it was definitely very, very informative. And yes, as you mentioned, a lot of information was shared. So yes, definitely going to digest it and reach out to you on your LinkedIn if at all I have any further questions.
Feel free. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so if no question, then thank you very much for joining in. I hope somehow I have contributed whatever I can in your, continuous learning journey. Try to explore it further. Keep coming to our platform because we are having a lot of things coming over here. And also we run lots of boot camps in the sense, mentoring kind of thing. It is not a certification workshop, so don't get confused. It's kind of mentoring session, 2-3 months long mentoring session on different area, right from product management to coaching to Scrum Mastery, so on and so forth. So if you look at our website, Agilemania, you will find out information over there as well. In Feb and March, I'm trying to run a boot camp on product management. Basically, whatever you have listened over here, it was a glimpse of that particular boot camp, right? And it is not restricted to frameworks. Basically, I will not talk about Scrum and Kanban. In that boot camp, we will only talk about crux of product management: market segmentation, value proposition, vision, road mapping, pricing, strategy, so on and so forth. So close to 2 months long boot camp, and probably at the end of boot camp you will find a certification as well called ICP PDM, because PDM is all about boot camp related thing. So if you want to explore it further, I think on Agilemania website, etc., you can get that. Again, promotion. No, not promotion, right? It's continuous learning journey.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. So coming weeks, we have our webinars as well. Do stay tuned to Agile30.org, and then the website is pasted on the chat box itself. So stay tuned for more webinars upcoming, and follow us, follow Atulya's LinkedIn, and thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Goodbye.